We are weather alert today on this Thursday morning. Chris is tracking our forecast for the day, and you said it's mainly in the afternoon.
Yeah, a little bit of rain this morning, turning cloudy. Then we have sunshine, and then we're tricked because all of a sudden the skies are going to turn on us. So we're going to go through everything that you need to know. As of right now, we're seeing a much cloudier sky to begin the day. It was pretty overcast most of the day yesterday, with the exception of a little bit of sunshine. And then we have after really 5 p.m. that I think is our best chance to be severe for the Charlotte area. And then we have more rain into the weekend, and then we're much cooler as we work our way into the weekend and next week, where we have an even bigger rain chance. But today is our biggest storm chance. That's why we're weather aware for the afternoon, right around the 81, 82 degree point, I think, for the greater Charlotte area. So we'll get enough sunshine to promote the warmest day, also one of the more humid days. So if you match this surplus of moisture along with a colliding front and warmer temperatures, that's the perfect recipe for some severe weather. As you can see, more moisture starts to move back in before we dry out a little bit before it comes back again heading into next week. I want to talk about the rarest potential that we have here in our area. For one, we are upgraded to a moderate threat for large hail, for damaging winds, and a still low threat for tornadoes. But every time you see these hashed lines, that represents a significant threat for larger hail, usually 2 inches plus, which is about the size of eggs. Not everyone's going to see this, but the way hail works, as it is above a freezing level, literal balls of ice, when it falls to the surface, it'll start to melt because we have above freezing temperatures. The mountains have less time for it to fall, so that's why it's going to promote a much larger hailstone. Our significant hail parameter, this is a new product. This shows that anyone in the yellow shading will have the potential for storms getting high enough to produce 1 to 2 inch diameter hail. Anything at 1 inch is about quarter size. That can cause a dent in the car. Once you get around that golf ball, the egg size, that is an absolute hindrance. So I'm hoping that doesn't come to fruition, but that's really late afternoon that we're opening that window, and it will slide into the Charlotte area heading into the early evening. So be advised, if you have a garage, why don't you put your car in there if it's going to be out and about by about the mid to late afternoon. The reason why we're going to see these storms is because of a warm front. The warm front is cranking up Mother Nature's thermostat, and right along this is triggering all those storms. Eventually it'll slide down towards the south, still promoting widespread rain even after our severe weather window closes, and that'll continue into your Friday morning. And as long as this cold front is around, that's going to promote another shower. So our storm impacts are going to be highest really heading into the evening. I think it's anywhere starting about 4 to 5 o'clock for the mountains and foothills, but for the Charlotte area specifically, we have a high impact for hail and those stronger winds really starting around 5 o'clock. But I think it's really close to about that 6 to 8 time frame. This is the highest. Outside of that, we're really just looking at some heavier rain. Not too much of a flood threat because we haven't had a lot of precursor rain, but this could prime the soils for more rain that we could see for a flood threat maybe on Monday and Tuesday. So a closer look at the timing. Check it out. 8 a.m., seeing a passing shower. So let's call it between about 7 and 10. You have a chance for light rain, much like what we had yesterday. But then through the middle of the afternoon, we're actually seeing sunshine. I think you're going to see sunshine mixing with the clouds, but we're already seeing signs of those storms starting to form. 2 to 4, you see a significant difference. Whenever we have an isolated cell like this, that potentially could be a supercell because it could have some rotation. It's these type of scenarios, those are the ones that I worry about promoting the much larger hail. So watch for that. We're going to be cutting into the storms as Brad's going to be tracking this. Literally, these could go up to 30,000 feet, really promoting some larger hail. This system looks to be a little bit closer to the Charlotte area by the time you conclude the afternoon heading into the peak of the year evening commute. That's really anywhere between about 5 and 7 o'clock, pushing its way off towards the east, and then the leftover organization closing out our severe weather window really between about 8 and 10. We'll be here by about that 10 to midnight hour, so still widespread rain by later on in the evening, but again, the severe potential is really between about 5 and 10 o'clock, where the atmosphere will be the most unstable. For our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast, if that would pop up for me, we're looking at those widespread differences in temperatures as we continue throughout the rest of the week. We're looking at highs in the lower 80s today, back and forth through the 70s this weekend, cooler with rain on Monday, and then back to around 80 degrees the